The arena lights at the MGM Grand burned hot against a sea of anticipation, the kind that only appears when two forces of nature are about to collide. On one side stood a Mexican legend already carved into boxing history, a 3-division world champion known for his granite will and fearless aggression. On the other stood a whirlwind from the Philippines, a southpaw phenomenon whose speed and violence had dismantled elite opponents and ignited a nation's pride. This wasn't just another title fight. It was a clash of identities, styles, and destinies. And before a single punch was thrown, you could already feel that something unforgettable was about to unfold. As Manny Pacquiao made his walk to the ring, the crowd erupted into a roar that seemed to vibrate through the canvas itself. He smiled, soaking in the energy, feeding off it like fuel. Not long before this moment, he had been a teenager selling cigarettes on the streets just to survive. Now he stood under the brightest lights in boxing, carrying the hopes of the Philippines with him. Across the ring, Erik Morales waited with a calm intensity, his expression almost unreadable. Morales wasn't intimidated by hype or speed. He had studied Pacquiao relentlessly, watching footage again and again, searching for patterns, weaknesses, opportunities. He knew what the world believed, that Pacquiao's speed and power would overwhelm him. But Morales had built his career on proving people wrong. From the opening bell, it was immediately clear that this fight would not follow the script many expected. Pacquiao came out sharp, his left hand firing down the center like a piston. But Morales didn't retreat. Instead, he met fire with fire, stepping forward, digging punches into the body, imposing his size advantage. The early exchanges were electric. Pacquiao's blinding speed against Morales' precision counters. Each man landed, each man absorbed punishment, and neither man showed fear. Morales chased Pacquiao across the ring after absorbing heavy shots, almost daring him to throw more. That was the essence of Morales. If you hurt him, he came right back, sometimes even stronger. Pacquiao's speed was undeniable, and there were moments early when it looked like the tide might swing in his favor. His straight left snapped Morales' head back, and combinations landed clean enough to make the crowd gasp. But Morales responded with calculated brutality, targeting the body with right hands that thudded with authority. Those body shots weren't just scoring, they were investments. They slowed Pacquiao's rhythm, forced him into a pace he didn't prefer, and began to sap the explosive energy that had defined his previous performances. By the middle rounds, the fight had settled into a brutal chess match disguised as chaos. Pacquiao threw more punches, but Morales landed the cleaner, heavier shots. Inside exchanges became battlegrounds where neither man yielded ground. Morales slipped hooks through Pacquiao's guard that he never saw coming, while Pacquiao answered with rapid-fire combinations that forced Morales to reset. It was the kind of fight where every second demanded attention, where momentum swung not by rounds but by moments. Then came a turning point that would shape the narrative of the night. A clash of heads opened a nasty cut near Pacquiao's eye. Blood began to flow, and suddenly the dynamics shifted. The referee ruled it a punch rather than an accidental headbutt, meaning the injury could factor into the outcome if the fight were stopped. Doctors examined the damage as tension filled the arena. Pacquiao, blinking through blood, signaled he wanted to continue. When the action resumed, something had changed. Morales sensed vulnerability and pressed forward with renewed confidence, jabbing repeatedly toward the damaged eye, forcing Pacquiao to fight through compromised vision. The brutality intensified. Morales landed right hands over the top that wobbled Pacquiao, forcing him backward. At times, Pacquiao looked momentarily stunned, yet his resilience surfaced again and again. He fired back with left hands that snapped Morales' head and briefly shifted momentum. The crowd, witnessing this exchange of courage, roared with every connection. This was no longer just a technical contest, it was a war of wills. There were rounds where Pacquiao surged, landing the kind of explosive shots that had destroyed opponents in the past. In one sequence, a powerful left hand visibly hurt Morales, sending a ripple through the audience. For a moment, it looked as though the Filipino star might seize control. But Morales, true to his nature, refused to concede. Instead of retreating, he charged forward, exchanging punches in the pocket, forcing Pacquiao into another exhausting firefight. That stubborn defiance became one of the defining images of the bout, a fighter unwilling to acknowledge pain, determined to impose his will no matter the cost. As the fight moved into the later rounds, fatigue began to show on both men, but Morales' strategy had paid dividends. The bodywork slowed Pacquiao just enough to neutralize some of his speed advantage. Morales continued to jab, continued to land straight rights, and continued to exploit the swelling around Pacquiao's eye. Still, Pacquiao never stopped attacking. Even when hurt, he threw combinations, sometimes grinning defiantly, as if to declare that nothing could break him. That psychological resilience kept him competitive deep into the fight. Then came one of the most talked about moments of the night, a decision by Morales that stunned commentators and fans alike. Late in the fight, Morales switched to a southpaw stance, mirroring Pacquiao. It was a risky move, almost reckless given the circumstances. and immediately, Pacquiao capitalized, landing a massive left hand that shook Morales. Observers questioned why he would take such a gamble, especially when he had been having success fighting orthodox, but that moment revealed something profound about Morales. He wasn't content to simply win on points. He wanted to fight, to prove dominance even in dangerous territory. It was pride, stubbornness, and warrior instinct rolled into one decision. The final rounds were fought with raw emotion. Both men were battered, bleeding, and exhausted, yet neither stopped throwing punches. The exchanges were slower but heavier, each shot carrying the weight of accumulated punishment. Pacquiao pressed forward desperately, searching for a breakthrough that might change the outcome, while Morales answered with disciplined counters and jabs that maintained his edge. Every second felt monumental, the crowd hanging on each exchange as if witnessing history in real time. When the final bell rang, there was no doubt that everyone in attendance had witnessed something special. Both fighters stood marked by the battle faces swollen, bodies bruised, spirits unbroken. The audience rose in applause before the official decision was even announced, recognizing the courage and heart displayed inside the ring. This wasn't just a fight, it was a demonstration of what makes boxing compelling at its highest level: skill, resilience, pride, and the willingness to endure pain for victory. The judges' scorecards were read, each one identical. Erik Morales had won by unanimous decision. The Mexican warrior raised his arms as cheers erupted, but even in defeat, Manny Pacquiao's reputation grew. He had gone toe-to-toe with one of the sport's toughest champions, fought through adversity, and never stopped attacking. The rivalry between them was far from over, and the story they had begun writing that night would continue in future battles. What remained most unforgettable wasn't just who won or lost. It was the spirit of competition, the refusal to surrender, and the moments of pure courage that defined the contest. Morales switching southpaw despite the risk, Pacquiao fighting through blood and swelling to keep throwing combinations. Two champions meeting at the peak of their powers and pushing each other beyond limits. It was boxing at its purest form, dangerous, dramatic, and deeply human. Even years later, this fight stands as a reminder that greatness isn't measured only in victories. Sometimes it's measured in how far a fighter is willing to go, how much punishment he can endure, and how fiercely he refuses to back down. Morales proved his tactical brilliance and toughness, while Pacquiao proved his heart and resilience. Together, they created a classic that fans still revisit, not just for the punches, but for the story written between them. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think Morales' strategy and bodywork were the key to his victory, or did the cut and swelling play the biggest role in changing the fight's momentum? Was switching southpaw a moment of genius, confidence, or unnecessary risk? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown and storytelling, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into boxing's greatest battles.